bit of breaking news overnight. A court in the United States has blocked Donald Trump from imposing sweeping global tariffs on imports. A 3-judge panel concluded the US president exceeded his authority when he unveiled additional taxes on foreign-made goods. Well, a bit late, isn't it? Because he's already done a load of trade deals with all the people that he put tariffs on. So what difference does it make? I mean, this is the new lawfare, isn't it? They'll now try from state to state and in some cases in national ways to try and prevent Donald Trump from doing what he's doing. But the effect of what he's doing has already happened, so I don't know what the significance of that is, really.
Of course it has, and yeah, they'll do everything they can to block him, won't they?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. We've got a whole bunch of stories to talk about on the front pages, lots of people doing different things. Liverpool suspect is a company director with the Mail. We'll get to that in a second. NHS doctors have lost public support, according to the front page of The Times. The Telegraph goes with a very weird story, an army of hackers to take on Putin. I mean, if you believe that, I've got some swampland to sell you, you know, somewhere in the middle of the Middle East. And then The Sun goes a completely different way. The Last Days of Rose West, a fascinating story. I didn't realise there was a big Netflix documentary coming up because you know how people have, you know, kind of really gone for true crime stories. Yeah. And it is an incredible story. I'm actually old enough to remember the actual court case and when the story broke and everything. It was massive. So for anybody who doesn't know who Rose West is, I mean, she was one of the most horrific female serial killers in the history of Britain.
Mike, why have we spent goodness knows how many millions of pounds for 30 years keeping this absolute monster alive? I mean, to what end?
I know.
She is living a miserable, isolated existence. I mean, the detail in the Sun story is really quite astonishing, how she lives and the kind of isolation, and you know, no one wants to know her, no one wants to be friends with her. Even the prison guards won't be bribed by her. She eats tomato soup for breakfast and watches nature documentaries, knits.
It just sits on her
in
own,
a cell,
can't move, can't
can
walk.
barely walk. And it just say, and what are we keeping? What have we kept her? Considering what she did nearly 30 years ago,
I mean,
what they did.
The only answer I can give you to that is that in the end, it's for our own kind of civilised society, I suppose, because either you have the death penalty or you don't.
I know.
I know there are some.
And that's
people,
why I've struggled with the death penalty, because I just think, well, what are we keeping her going for?
Well, some people will say we should just get it back for people like her. I think the trouble is that you sort of diminish your own country by having it. So that's kind of where I am on it. You know, I think that there are certainly people who don't deserve to live, and she might be one of them. But I'm not sure you want the state, because the state gets everything wrong.
Of course they do. That's the problem. Of course.
And would you really entrust them to go around executing people? Because look where they are.
No, and look where we are now, with people being banged up in prison for a nasty tweet. Exactly. So I don't trust them on anything.
And even, you know, we had Helen Whately on yesterday, and I couldn't get her to say that Lucy Connolly should be released. She was like, you know, oh, I don't want to talk about specific cases. You go, well, why not? Why is it so difficult? Oh, it's quite difficult, complicated. How's it complicated?
How is it complicated?
You know, she's done a lot of time. She's done 10 months. Let her out. Why not?
It's one of the biggest scandals of, you know, this first government.
It really is.
The first month.
Absolutely right. Let's talk about a few of the other stories before we get to the front pages, though. We've got Talk exclusive, crooks cashing in on the waste racket. This is like a sort of a new county lines thing, because we've now got fly tipping has reached such an epic proportion now in this country that actually people don't know what to do. So now crooks are kind of cashing in and offering to remove people's rubbish and making vast amounts of money out of it, promising, you know, sort of, the ability to take things to a tip, promising people various different licences for them to do things, and crooks are pretending they've got licences. There's loads of money in it.
What was that saying? Where there's muck, there's brass.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, literally, this is kind of Mafia 2.0, isn't it? With these guys.
It's amazing.
The rubbish construction racket, it's absolutely appalling. But then again, when you look around the streets, it's not surprising that people are trying to make money out of this, because there are rubbish, and not just rubbish, but I mean, sofas and bathrooms and things chucked out on the streets, vast quantities.
Well, believe it or not, England's waste industry is worth £7 billion a year.
Actually, that doesn't surprise me.
But criminal gangs are now muscling in, undercutting legitimate firms and operating with near impunity. They're so brazen they're using diggers and tipper lorries to dump mountains of rubbish in plain sight.
And where are they dumping it all? Because they're
all over the place.
All over the place. They're charging people to take away stuff off their streets. And we've had the Birmingham, you know, bins piling up recently. But even in regular cities where we are apparently having bin collections, it's completely astonishing how overnight suddenly your street can be filled with all this stuff. Where is it coming from?
Kent's Police and Crime Commissioner Matthew Scott says waste crime is the new organised crime. Group activity is apparently like county lines activity. That's how serious it is. Wembley, there's enough, apparently, the Environment Agency estimates waste crime costs the UK economy $1 billion a year. Illegal operators handling around 34 million tonnes of waste, enough to fill Wembley Stadium 30 times over.
But the thing is, it's funny, but when you look at the images on the screen, it's not funny at all. And also, there's something about it which is just so kind of visual, such an iconic representation of the fact that this country, like we saw in Birmingham, but more generally, this country is falling apart. The government, while messing around with all sorts of other things, can't even do the basics. The basics, which are local councils collecting people's waste. And I think I think this country is being filled with, I won't say invaded by it, being filled with people who aren't living in a particularly neighbourly way. They're not caring about their streets. When you have people pouring in, pouring out, you have Airbnb people coming in, coming out, you have all of this kind of disruption to cities and to the kind of fabric of how people used to live. It's like
people have literally no pride in where they live.
No pride in where they live.
Because
it's not anything
They have no stake in it, and they don't own anything there. They put there, it's all for free. People say things like this about the NHS. If you give somebody something for free, they don't actually respect it.
They're
not paying for it. So if you give somebody who comes to this country a free house, and you give them free clothes, and you give them free food, and you give them free everything, they're not going to bother, are they?
But they feel that they don't belong to that community, they don't belong to that town or that street, they don't care whether there's stuff all over the streets, whereas I know elderly people who live all over the country who help their neighbours with the bins and put the right stuff in the right bins and make sure that the cul-de-sac where they all live is tidy and neat because they care.
Because they do care. I mean, we've done this before, but I'm going to ask you to do it again because I know that the listeners and the viewers of this programme are loving the interaction that we offer you and the fact that we let you have your say, because your say is very important. So send us pictures if you want, if you've got anything particularly horrific in your neighbourhood, or if you've got a lovely clean neighbourhood because somebody looks after it properly, by all means send us pictures. You know the number, you can send them on WhatsApp, 0344 499 1000. The other big story I'd like to talk about first up, before we get into the front pages again, is drought of order. This great page 17 story in The Sun, where it says mass immigration means areas of Britain face running out of drinking water in just 10 years. So, I've been saying this for I don't know how long. It's not just about the numbers of people coming into the country and the expense of putting them into hotels. It's not just about the amount of people coming in on student visas. It's about the fact that infrastructure in this country, roads, railways, hospitals, doctors, dentists,
schools,
now
bins,
water, everything is overloaded because we've got too many people here.
Completely overloaded and really badly managed as well. We know about, particularly in this case, we know about the appalling state of the water industry, and that's kind of another story as well. But there's an image in The Sun talking about mass immigration. This is an area of Cumbria which is literally drying up. It could be a sort of, it could be a Spanish coastal town that's drying up. But it's so true. It's all of these basic things which are falling apart in this country. We can't just keep taking more and more and more people.
No. And expect nothing to change.
And expect nothing to change, but somehow it's far right to say that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what happens when we start to run out of water?
Well,
because things are being rationed.
Well, they will be, because, we'll see it, no doubt, as we always see every summer, a hosepipe ban where you're told you can't wash your car, you can't water the flowers, you can't water the garden, you should only have one bath a week and all this kind of nonsense.
Well,
that's how it will be.
But what happens when it gets to drinking water?
Was over in Spain, the hotel he was staying in were rationing their air conditioning.
And then they'll be rationing it, exactly.
And they had a blackout there because they're woke and they can't figure out how to run a power grid. But this is from Environment Secretary Steve Reed, says he's planning to seize control of the planning system and force through 2 new giant reservoirs. Because, of course, thanks to the net zero maniacs and the Green Brigade and the environmental types, we haven't built any reservoirs in decades.
And this net zero madness is costing us billions already, 50 billion already.
But apparently building reservoirs is environmentally unsound. I don't understand why that would be. What's wrong with collecting water because it falls from the sky in a great big place where you can store it?
What is environmentally unfriendly?
How is that environmentally damaging?
What is even unpleasant about living near a reservoir? How absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is absolutely terrifying. And the fact that we don't... And also, when this government say things like, oh, we're planning, it's like they're planning to build more prisons. When they say they're planning to build more reservoirs, get on with it, do it right now, because, look, we are running out of water.
In fact, use the prisoners to build the reservoirs, that's what I always say. Just a piece of information on the Spanish situation. In 2022, the Spanish government implemented a decree restricting air conditioning and heating settings in public spaces to save energy. And this is because of the profligacy of various different governments, including our own, who then get themselves into a bad place and then punish the people who pay for the services to say, well, you can't pay, you can't use them.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous.
And the net zero madness, it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense to dig up the entire countryside and cover it in solar panels. It doesn't even make sense when you can't store the energy, when you don't have any of the basics in place.
Right.
It's just people like Mad Miliband just going...
Yeah, he's been quiet lately. I haven't heard from him. Meanwhile, there's
probably on one of his Caribbean holidays.
Pictures of David Lammy, talking of Caribbean holidays. David Lammy having his picture taken in the Arctic on page 6.
Yeah, selfies in the Arctic.
It's nice, isn't it?
Is he in Svalbard? Yeah, he's with the Northern Lights or something like that.
Yeah.
And look, how many air miles are these guys racking up? Lammy and Miliband between them.
He says, Mr. Lammy said the Arctic was becoming an increasingly important frontier for geopolitical competition and trade as melting sea ice opens up shipping routes and the potential to exploit oil, gas and mineral resources. Ed Miliband will be having an attack of the vapours. He'll be going, oh my God, what, oil and gas and sea ice melting in the same sentence. Oh my God, we can't do it.
Absolutely terrifying. Anywhere that Lammy visits, you know.
And he's got a hat on that says Arctic Station. It'd be good if he stayed up there for a while, wouldn't it?
It would be.
It's just not bother us. Let's talk a bit about the Liverpool story on front page of the Daily Mail. Liverpool suspect is a company director. Very strange story, this. We still can't really work out what's happened. The police obviously still can't work out what's happened. They've been extending him twice now to be questioned. 53-year-old, as they described him, white to British male.
As they very quickly described him.
Yeah, they did. It now turns out he's married with 3 teenage children. Neighbours where he lives in a smart £300,000 4-bedroom detached property say he's a family man with well-behaved children, and they can't understand how this could have happened.
He seems to be a man of, you know, known in the local area. This is the West Derby area of Liverpool. This is quite close to me, actually. I'm not only a Liverpool fan, but basically 90% of my family live in Liverpool.
Okay,
and
so you know West Derby?
Yeah, my mum's a Liverpudlian. The area, I mean, basically all of my cousins and everybody are just saying it's just the sense of sadness and shock in the city is really, really... But it seems this man is, you know, a pillar of the community, a nice guy, a graduate, a company director... all of this stuff, so it just gets weirder and weirder.
So all the stories about him either being on drugs and or drunk may, or I mean, it doesn't mean they're not true, but
or some kind of
makes it more unlikely,
mental health crisis. Is also being suggested. It's very, very strange, isn't it?
Yeah, very strange
I think 79 have been injured. People are being released from hospital and sort of...
I don't think there's more than about 20 still in hospital.
Still in hospital now.
Not too many serious injuries, which is a miracle, really.
And maybe that's what the police are sort of having to wait for. I don't know why we're waiting on more information.
Yeah, but hopefully we'll hear more throughout the course of this day, and we'll bring it to you, of course. This from, who is it? Sonia. Morning, Mike. I live in West Norfolk. My nearest recycling centre is Wisbeach, 12 minutes away. Can't use it because it's on Cambridge. I had to call West Norfolk Council and make an appointment to use theirs. Absolutely crazy. It's why fly tipping is increasing, because you can't get access to the place where you want to dump the stuff that you've got to dump.
I mean, I don't go to a dump because I don't have a car, but I hear endlessly from friends saying, I've made an appointment at the dump, or and I've just, you know, that seems very, very odd, or massive queues at the dump where you have to take things at the weekend.
And there are certain aspects of certain things they won't take, certain people that you can't go in there.
People who work at dumps make a very, very good living with things they salvage.
Yeah, but this is why, obviously, the crooks have moved in and have gone, there's money to be made here, because people would rather somebody take the stuff away without knowing necessarily where it's going to end up.
Where does it end up? That's the problem, isn't it? And yeah, exactly. When you have stuff piling up, you'll pay anyone to take it away. Yeah,
absolutely right. Jeff says the answer to water shortage is build another 1.5 million homes. Yeah, absolutely right. That's what Angela Rayner wants to do. They were all celebrating the fact that they were building more homes yesterday because they put like 2 homes into the ground or something like that. Julie says this. Good morning, Mike. We watch you every day from Dubai. Next time you're here, can you bring us a car sticker? As ours didn't arrive before we flew back from the UK. We will swap it for a beer or 2. Absolutely right. I think I deposited a few with my daughter, actually, but I don't know whether you'll be able to run into her and get one from her. We've got lots more to do. One must play you this little video before we go anywhere else, and we're going to keep playing it throughout the course of the morning. It's a new roundabout in Hemel Hempstead, right? And it's called the most woke roundabout of all time. It's so complicated that they've got to issue a video to explain how to go around it. Have a look.
When driving, be prepared to give way to people walking and riding bikes. Be attentive and watch out for people walking and cycling as you exit.
Oh, they're going to stop again. It takes a long time to get around this roundabout.
So literally that car
right?
goes about 1 metre, about 3 stops. Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable. It's in Hemel Hempstead. It's been controversial with locals who have dubbed it Britain's most woke roundabout, and it's been branded very confusing. Hertfordshire Council there putting out a video on how to use it.
These roundabouts are insane. I live on the Old Street roundabout, and they've made it into a not roundabout anymore. It's basically a half roundabout
now, isn't it? Yeah.
And even as a cyclist, and I know you hate cyclists, it's utterly confusing.
Yeah.
You can go, no, you can't go.
It's dangerous for cyclists, isn't it?
Very dangerous.
Yeah.
Suddenly you're cycling towards things, and everything comes flying at you from the other direction.
Right.
I don't think anyone knows what's going on. And it's not a roundabout anymore.
And I've driven, I mean, I went to college around there, so I know that area really well. And it didn't used to be like that.
No, it used to be a roundabout.
And now, if you go there at night, there are so many lights that you can't actually tell which one you're supposed to...
What is going on?
You're supposed to adhere to, you know. So
you
there's a green
lanes.
light there. Oh, that's not yours. There's a green arrow there. That's not yours. There's a green one straight away. That's there. There's another red light there.
It's massively dangerous.
You have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
surprised
massively dangerous.
people don't die there on a daily basis.
I think they probably will. And then there are things where the bike can go, but the bus can't go, but you're both in the same lane. And then the cars can go, but suddenly everything's heading towards you.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Anyway, we'll be playing more from the Magic Roundabout, as I'm calling it. The most woke roundabout in Britain. Absolutely unbelievable stuff.